All right, on today's show, jam-packed show, we haven't given you guys a podcast in the last 4 or 5 days, and so much has happened in the world of battle rap. We're going to talk about this Mike P and Jakkboy battle being canceled. We're going to talk a little bit about this Born Legacy 13 card coming up this weekend, right? And we did get some major announcements around the battle world. BullPen announced the card. The Mecca is going down Yonkers July 30th. And Dizaster has announced his main event for his Battle of the Bay card. Dizaster versus Eazy, the block captain. It's all coming up. Let's talk battle rap. All right, man. As always, I am your host of the Let's Talk Battle Rap podcast. For those that don't know, my name is France. Your host of Let's Talk Battle Rap podcast, the Battle Rap podcast of New York. Follow the show on all your social medias, LTBR Podcast, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff, everything but Facebook. I'm sorry, we're not going over there. Respectfully. Let's Talk BattleRap.com for all your latest editorial news, stats, and facts. We got some articles coming up this weekend. We got my man, senior staff writer Q Moody, covering the Crucible card that's going down this weekend. He's got a lot of thoughts on some of the up-and-comers on Crucible Season 3. You know we're going to have a Born Legacy 13 recap. And, you know, we got a lot of little interesting editorials on the way. So always stay tuned to what we got going on Let's Talk BattleRap.com. Now, where to kick things off on today's show? Did you guys get a chance to see Mike P's live? Did you guys get a chance to see Jakkboy's live? Hey, don't worry. If you didn't, I got all the notes for you. Got all the cliff notes. So Mike P and Jakkboy's battle's been canceled. I knew about this a little bit, a couple of days prior to the announcements. I got a chance to talk to both MCs. They both told me the exact same things that they also said on their lives. So I want to go ahead and read Jakkboy's quote first because it has the biggest premise of why the battle actually kind of wasn't in the best situation for neither of them to succeed. But then we'll get into Mike P's situation because he had a nice nice little rant on his channel when he went live. He went live yesterday. Nice 500 people in the viewers. He said, I'm not speaking till I get 10,000 people here. I can't blame you, Mike. All right. Jakkboy says here, and quote, the battle has been, you know what? How about this, guys? I trimmed this quote because, you can only fit so many characters into the graphics, right? Let's read you the full quote. The full, unedited, long paragraph that does not fit in the LTBR news flyer. Let's go. This battle has been postponed on my side, and it's simple. Just to be honest, we had a miscommunication on the contract. They made a mistake, put the battle out for you guys, but they didn't send a contract yet. They thought they did, but they hadn't. So when the flyer dropped, I'm like, hey, I don't have a contract, and I haven't got paid yet. They said, let us fix it. And they sent one over to me. And then we started the negotiations, and then I signed the contract. But by that time, I had a week and a half left. Don't get me wrong. I can write in that time period. But the thing is, the next step didn't get taken care of until a few days afterwards. So it was only best for us to postpone it. You don't want your artist out there with a week's prep. Contracts and negotiations and the business took longer than it was supposed to. It didn't go as fluid as we would like for it to have us on both ends with enough time to prepare. That is the full Jakkboy quote. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, that's not going to fit in the news graphic. So, we got to trim the fat a little bit. But I wanted to give you guys the full context. All right? That's what we do here sometimes. But, URL, what's going on over there, URL? Right? You guys announced the event Sunday. And when I say URL, we all kind of know who we're talking to. So, and I love those guys over there. They work hard. I got their numbers. These are people I rock with. You know what I'm saying? This is not a slander campaign here going on, even though I know it's a lot. It's very prevalent right now to be very anti them, but you don't have to be anti somebody to be critical of the way somebody's been, producing their results lately. Like that doesn't mean just because I'm critical of what I've been hearing and seeing and what has been done doesn't mean that I'm anti you. I'm always going to be in favor of what the league does. They feed us as media. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a league owner. I don't know how difficult all this stuff is, and I don't got any picks of. I don't got no dogs in the fights. I don't pick and choose. I keep the same energy across the board. But once this event was announced last Sunday, with less than 14 days to really promote, and you announced Saga and Hansel in the morning, and then an hour later took the battle down, like, oh yeah, this battle was canceled. Sorry. I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong. Like there was a trailer that was created for a battle that was canceled. Where was the communication? And the artist that was part of the canceled battle had announced days prior to there being any announcements as their matches were canceled. So I'm just like, all right, something's happening here. And what goes down that an announcement is made without a contract being sent out and Jakkboy being paid? Jakkboy, he waves the URL flag, so he's probably like, hey, I know y'all gonna get me, but you haven't gotten me yet. And Jakkboy, nah, brother. I got a lot of love for Jack. That's my guy. Real talk. We've had a very, very dope relationship over the years as far as media and rapper. And that's a great story that's going to be told one day. But Jack, man, you need to have your business handled, man. I know you were going to not worry about getting paid. You were definitely going to get paid eventually, but that deposit got to hit the second the contract is signed so you could prepare, man. But I'm glad you and Mike as well have the enough awareness to say, hey, man, business ain't go properly here. We got less than 14 days. What's up? Let's not strain ourselves here for it. And truth be told, I did kind of feel like this is a challenge for Jakkboy and Mike P. Like it is a good style matchup, but it almost felt like a challenge that pinned one against the other so that they needed to show the results as to who would continue to be progressed. This is just me. I'm looking at it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be this way, but that's just how it felt. It felt like all right, let's kill two birds with one stone, get them both a play, and let's see who progresses. I'm just saying how I felt about the match. Yeah, they dropped the ball on that. What can I tell you? I mean, not to mention that they also booked the event prior to them announcing that it would be on caffeine, because when they made the announcement Sunday, it wasn't until the following weekend, next Saturday, 6-7 days later, this is now a caffeine card. So when this was negotiated amongst the battlers as an app event, you kind of booked them for their app event rate, app event pricing, and now as a caffeine card. Like, are they going to get paid extra money? Is everybody spinning the block to renegotiate? Like, what just happened here? Like, this is kind of, this is a little crazy, I think this happened one time with, A Ward, right? I think he battled on the Riot, or he was gonna battle on the Riot. I think that when he was gonna battle Coffee and Loso battle Cali Smooth, that card. That event wasn't supposed to be a live streamed event, so obviously they gave the Riot a certain price, and then last minute the event becomes a stream on Twitch, and they're like, "Oh, wait a minute! If this is gonna be on Twitch, like this warrants a different level of like fee to pay because it's being broadcast and distributed differently. Like I've sold myself short now. That happens. So when these little switcheroos happen, you got to spend the block and renegotiate these things. I get it all the way. Now for Mike P's situation though, boy, there's a lot to talk about here. He goes live on his rant. Oh, he goes on a rant on his live, I should say, and he says a lot, man. He says, he kind of talks about that not really feeling rewarded. He also reiterates, like in the Kid Chaos battle, that it's been 9 events and almost 6 months since I've battled. He talks about like his momentum being killed by the league, obviously not being featured on some of these cards. He feels like he's a top tier, or everybody's gonna have a different opinion, but himself, he says, I am a top tier. You know what I'm saying? Look at my resume, look at my performances, look at some of my wins, look what I've done, look at my experience, like how long I've been here. I am a top tier. He promotes, he's popular, or It's polarizing at the very least. Either you love or hate Mike P, but nonetheless, he's gonna get some traffic for sure. He was a staple on caffeine. He's somebody that was really waving the URL flag when, like, especially this year when a lot of people were critiquing URL. He was defending them. He had that exchange with ARP earlier this year. He went live talking about it. So he's somebody that has really expressed his loyalty to the league. Once you do that, sometimes you kind of unfortunately cripple your own leverage because he says he's not signing URL at this moment. So they're like, I'm not saying you're gonna see him go battle on other leagues, but when you burn the bridge, now we absolutely know that you're not gonna go battle on other leagues. So it's like there's nothing for you to stand on leverage wise. What else he said? He said a lot here. He also talked a bit about this battle will be rescheduled. So the Jakkboy Maine battle will be rescheduled. And that if it's after this Jakkboy battle, if it's not 5 figures or a live stream, don't call his phone. So where it gets kind of weird, right? Because some of us in media always we hear the rumblings about how much people get paid. At the end of the day, we don't ever really know, do we? Like, we're just listening to what somebody says they got paid and when somebody says somebody else got paid. So ultimately, we don't know if it's true or not. We got to take all that speculation into occurrence and just like throw it into this estimated like playing field. Is like, all right, this is the range that I've heard, but I'm not the one that cuts the check. I don't have a copy of your contract. I don't check the books. I cannot verify nobody's prices, so I try to always stay out the price conversation, even though everybody kind of knows what kind of numbers you hear in the streets, but you can't verify it unless y'all getting these PDFs sent to y'all. I ain't getting no PDF sent to me. I can't verify nothing. But the point I'm getting at here is if I had to put a guesstimate to it, like, if you're not getting that amount of money on URL, could you get it anywhere else? It's questionable. I don't know. I truly do not know. But it's less about the money for me, and it's more about the way he feels like he hasn't been utilized. And I could agree with that. Like I could agree that like it does feel like he hasn't fully been utilized to its proper extent. Like, there's obviously a ton of dope matches available that Mike P could have had. He almost battled Verb at one point in time. Him and Tay-Rock had those conversations. Clips have showed interest. Him and Chess could be a good battle. Once upon a time, not too long ago, maybe about a year or two ago, him and D were going back and forth. I think they had diss records, actually. Somebody fact check that one for me. Comment section. Let me know. I could be right or wrong. I don't remember. Hold on. See something here. See, yeah, they did. Look at it right here. It was a while ago. It was 3 years ago. So Mike P and DNA had diss records towards each other, diss freestyles towards each other. Like the point is, there's a lot of names available, but it doesn't even always have to just be another top tier name. There's also like Jerry West or just finding ways to include him in the mix, right? Like after the light work battle against Sharon, you don't see him for, like he says, 9 cards in 6 months. So he's like, yo, I could have been on Volume, could have been on Civil War, could have been on Outside, could have been on Redemption. I hear I could have been on Kings and Queens, made my debut there. I hear him, you know what I'm saying? But I also feel like the writing on the wall has been like, if you're a Mike P fan like I am, and you've really been like following his career since he came into the league, I kind of feel like the writing on the wall for Mike started back in like the end of 2017, early 2018. He beat Twerk at Nome 7, right? 2017, April 2017. He beats Twerk at Nome. He beats him. They both were a surprise battle. They both made their debuts. They both were up-and-coming talents in the league. Mike was about a year prior to Twerk. He's 2015. Twerk's 2016. But he beats Twerk on that card. After that moment, Mike P and Twerk were featured on the same card 3 more times. They were on Born Legacy Supreme. Mike battled Big T. Twerk battled Will. They were on Volume 1. Twerk battled JC. Mike P battled Suge. They were on Volume 2. Twerk battled Verb. Mike P battled Young Cannon. And all 3 of those cards, Twerk outperformed him. So, like, I think there was a moment there the league kind of saw him as like, all right, you might have beaten this guy, but this guy might have the higher ceiling. And was it right? Was it wrong? I don't know. This is just how I felt at the time as a Mike P fan. I'm like, yo, what's like, where's the disconnect? Because that year, 2018, he only battles twice. He only battles Young Cannon and B-Dot. And just like now, he actually went, I think, a longer time period not battling. I think he went like 7, almost 8 months. You know what I'm saying? From July till March 30th of 2018 and 2019 without battling. And he came back to battle JC. So like that window of like, hey, where's Mike P? It kind of feels like the same exact way. It's almost like repeating itself to a degree. And but Mike also has some moments where like I think we got to also be honest with ourselves. Like we are caffeine partners, right? Well, we were caffeine partners, so we started to see things slow up over the last year. Like from 2021 to 2022, they went from 22 caffeine events a year to I think 10, 11 maybe. We saw it get cut in half. And then this year, it's only been 2 caffeine events. And then all of us have like left the platform or lost our partnerships a month or 2 or 3 before our contracts expired. So there isn't that many events available. URL does have an excessive amount of talent on their roster in a weird period of rebuilding where there's not enough events and almost too much talent being hoarded. So there could be like a subdivision created down the line, maybe post this caffeine era where there's a new platform included, or just straight app events, or they find a way to stream on their card, or maybe they get back to monthly events. Then you get to see everybody back in a real mix of rotation. So like when you haven't seen a lot of guys, like it's just kind of the nature of what's going on right now. You know what I'm saying? Not Swamp, like people like Loso. Loso hasn't technically been booked since like November. He did the T-Top battle in February, but that was because it was rescheduled. So since like, he hasn't been booked this year for a new battle besides the battle that got rescheduled from him. There's a lot of other names I could point to that you just haven't seen yet. And there's just a shortage of events right now. Also, this is something I really, really wanted to talk about. Mike P was saying me and Jakkboy are beyond a Born Legacy right now. Man, Born Legacy has got such a bad rap for no reason. And I'm here to say that, like, we need to stop for a moment and not live so much in the present. I do feel like maybe the last 2 Born Legacy cards, Born Legacy 11 and 12, might have lost some of the allure. But Born Legacy has been a hub for top tiers to perform at. It's always been a staple event when there wasn't some of the major events happening. It was always a platform for the mid tiers to develop, people that are on the rise, rookies that were showing their progression, and you wanted to test their ceiling. Like, you always got a solid mix of names that was on Born Legacy. Matter of fact, let me just read this. Let me read you the last 4 years of Born Legacy main events. Born Legacy 6, Geechee and Chess. Born Legacy 7, Geechee and John. Born Legacy 8, Danny Myers and Chess. Born Legacy 9, Danny Myers, Eazy the Black Captain. Born Legacy 10, DNA and Lou Castro. Born Legacy 11, Av and Fonz. Born Legacy 12, Bill Collector and Marv 1. All right. And it's not even mentioning some of the gems in these undercards where you get like JC and Saga. Saga was having a really hot year. Av and Ill Will. You know what I'm saying? Ill Will's been on a lot of these stuff. Ill Will is one of the best. He's been in a lot of these Born Legacies. Misfit and Official. You know what I'm saying? I could keep going. Don't forget that the Born Legacy is the home of the trilogy package of Av, Rum and Will and Av. Like there's so many battles that have like lived on this series that, like, if you just go back to the history, especially from like Born Legacy 1 to 9, it showcases multiple top tiers. I almost go as far as to say that 50% of the top tiers that are on the league have footage on Born Legacy. And we're not even talking about like earlier on, like Born Legacy 1, obviously headlined by Surf and Clips. Born Legacy 3s, where you get like Rum and Will and Daylight and Mike. Oh, by the way, Jazz the Rapper, who made her 2-year, who returned after 2 years from not battling, made a return on Born Legacy 4. Red has headlined a Born Legacy during this Cody year. Like, I don't know when we decided to devalue Born Legacy this much. I don't like it. I don't like any of it. And you also accepted the match knowing it was Born Legacy. Like, the offer came to you as Born Legacy. You guys accepted it. And then you say, I shouldn't be doing no Born Legacy afterwards. Well, you accepted it ahead of time. And Jack's also been in the last two Born Legacies before this as well. He was on Born Legacy 11 and 12. So, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with Born Legacy. If you feel like the events haven't been treated the way that they should be treated, as far as the time being announced, the marketing behind it, the care, that's totally fair. And if you also feel like, yo, you can't book me for an app event and then it becomes a caffeine event, that's also totally fair too. Now, those are valid grievances that I think deserve to be echoed. But the series itself, there's nothing wrong with the series. Am I lying? Hold on, man. I mean, Mike P's first two top tier names came from Born Legacy, Daylight and JC. All right. Well, also Suge in the volume. All right, but moving on. The point is, I don't feel like Born Legacy should be catching all this flack, but the way it's been distributed and the way that everything's been going down, I get it. Me personally, I don't feel like Mike is a top tier. He can be a top tier talent. Is he a top tier name? I don't view him as that. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely view him like upper mid tier, like B plus. You know what I'm saying? Right at the cusp of all that. There's a lot of guys that are right at that cusp. And for me personally, my definition of top tier has always been: are you a draw? Can we headline a card around your brand? And are you getting wins against other top tiers? Like, I feel like those are like my three prerequisites. It doesn't have to be everybody else's definition, but those are my prerequisites for what I think consists of a top tier. And yes, Mike is a draw. Is he enough of a draw that he can headline a volume Summer Madness or Gnome? I don't know. It might depend the matchup. But has he headlined Born Legacy, Super Fight, and Civil War? Hell yeah, he has. Oh yeah, he has. You know what I'm saying? So he definitely can headline. He definitely has headlined. The records against top tiers. So he has 6 top tiers on his resume, right? Daylight, JC, Suge, Danny, Sharon, T Top. My personal record in that run is 2-4. I have him losing 4 of those battles. I have him winning 2 against Danny and Sharon. And even if you go back to his last 5 or 10 battles on the league, like you can easily say he's at 500 or so. Like he beat Ryder, lost to Jack, had a battle of the year contender with Real Sick. I had him beating Castro as a good battle, debatable. He lost clearly to T Top, lost clearly to Geechee, has a debatable with Chilla, debatable with Nunn, beat Sharon with a fantastic, one of the best rounds that year. Had him beating Chaos in the battle that I didn't really like that much, respectfully to both those MCs. So he hovers around this area where he is getting wins. He has debatables. He's competitive. He's Chilla's Chilla's a top tier. We could throw Chilla in there too, but I have him losing to Chilla. That's debatable. The point I'm getting at is he's hovering around it, but he definitely has more clear losses and debatables than clear wins in that time frame. You feel me? So that's also something people look at. I do feel like the coach is much more down on him than they need to be. They're much more critical of him than they should be. And I do feel like he hasn't been utilized to his maximum potential for sure. But you also say things like Jakkboy's a dynamic big stage performer with a high profile. I don't feel like that's accurate neither. There's a disconnect there between how he views certain things himself and his situation versus the results of how the masses view it and what the results vary. So it's all in the mix right now. It's all in the mix. I hope better for Mike. You know what I'm saying? I rock with Mike heavy. I definitely want to see him just get whatever level of value received back to him that he desires. Doesn't have to be the exact demands that he listed, because if it's those demands, there hasn't been that many live streams. We're in July, and this is the 3rd URL live stream. All right, there was a point in time they did 3 live streams in 6 weeks. So, you have to wait for live stream events because it's gonna take some time. And as far as the money amount that you've argued, I'm gonna just say no comment, because again, I don't cut the checks. I'm not gonna pocket watch, but if I had to guess, would you get that from them? I don't know. I don't know. Man, this is rough. Man, this is rough. But I hope for the best. I'm looking forward to the battle. I'm looking forward to see where the battle gets rescheduled. And still got a whole nother Born Legacy card to still talk about. We could go ahead and give some Born Legacy predictions. We could talk about some more of these announcements that were made this week, right? So let's go ahead and take a quick break here. You know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and play my man Loaded Lux, some music from Loaded Lux Santino.
It's Marvino, right?
Grab me a Rello in the water.
I've been on my grind since a little nigga. I've been getting money since a little nigga. But now that I'm all grown, I gotta do it on my own. I've been on my grind since a little nigga. Niggas still thinking I'm a little nigga. Cause I've been on the low. I gotta let them know. I'ma get them.
My mama love me, pops adore me. You say, what's my story? If life's a bitch and fuck the world, well, I'm gonna have some emojis. Since it's shorty, get mine. So I'm pushing 40. Man, I'm from Harlem. West side. Wild 140s, they call me loaded. She know what's up, don't need no chick to hold me down. Nah, bitch, hold me up. I'm just a product of the town. If I didn't have fans to listen, you trying to.
All right, man. We back. Shouts to Loaded Lux, beloved. We's back in the building, man. All right. Mike P and Jakkboy, salute to both these guys. They're very highly talented individuals that I super rock with, super respect. I keep it real. I've been critical of. We've had disagreements, but nonetheless, I will always support those guys. I'm looking forward to when they reschedule their battle, and I look forward to them getting the opportunities that they desire or creating the opportunities that they desire, whatever it may be. But we still got a whole Born Legacy card going down this weekend, and I'm glad it's on caffeine, man. You know, I got something to do this weekend. I'll be honest, man. You know, the COVID era really piqued the introvert in me. You know what I'm saying? I know how to glisten and smile, shake hands, kiss babies, politics, turn up. My social battery got a limit, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm in my element when it's time to be at the crib, when it's time to be on these social medias, making memes, you know what I'm saying? Watching these battles, talking to the group chat, doing a nice radio roulette or after party show with the people, because the people matter more than anything else to me. That's my jam. You know what I'm saying? I will always take a live stream event at the crib with an after party afterwards than probably being at an event. It depends the event. You know what I'm saying? And every time I go to an event, I get to see my man JB. That's probably a better highlight than the event sometimes itself, truth be told. That's my guy. Love JB. But the point I'm getting at is I haven't had a live stream event in a while. This is the third one from URL this year. So, you know, regardless how you feel about the card, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. All right. This is what gets me excited. Can you hear it in my voice? All right. We do got the 3-on-3, which we all talked about. You know, you got Doc Rivers coaching Team Jersey. Shug, you know what I'm saying? They keep putting you in the pick and roll, and they're hunting you at the top. And you know, they keep hitting threes on you, big fella. They keep hitting threes on you. I need to take you off for Arsenal. You know, Arsenal could guard the wing. He's got the reach. You know what I'm saying? He's got the intensity to at least disrupt these shot creating. What are you gonna do when you down 0-1? You gonna call an old red, Doc? You gonna call an old red, Doc Rivers? Who's the coach for the rookies? Who's the coach for the rookies? This is fun. Is it Nick Nurse? Huh? Is it Dwayne Casey? Huh? Who's the coach for the? Is it Frank Vogel? I don't know. I'm just playing around here. But 3-on-3, at the end of the day, you know, we gotta always give something a chance. We might not have liked it on paper. It seems a little clunky. It's something different. And in a year where we want some stability, consistency, and something just a bit more normalized, getting creative might not always be the answer, but we had to have an open mind at the end of the day to see if we like the product of this 3-on-3. And, you know, there's a possibility we might like the product. I'm going to say this for the rookies, though. Oh, Fennec's been on caffeine already because he just did No Impact. Ease and Hansel, this is y'all caffeine debuts, right? You haven't been on caffeine. Yeah, all three of y'all have one round. Listen, as a rookie in this league, there is no excuse to not have one fire round. I'm looking at you guys, right? I mean, Jersey hasn't been like unified like this in a long time. So, but at the same time, Red and Arsenal hasn't been competitive in a while. And Suge is the best battle rapper on that team right now. So, whoever has to deal with Suge, which is Ease, you have a real challenge on your hands, but all you guys are only doing one round. You have the opportunity to name flip three people. You got all this creativity available to you. You still got all these fresh young legs. This is your two of you guys is your caffeine debut. I'm expecting y'all to be really through the roof. I'm gonna be honest. I have high expectations. I do have high expectations, especially my man Hansel. I rock with Hansel. He talks so greasy on Twitter, and I love everything about that. But you gotta back it up. And will he? I think he will. I think he will. I'm not saying that he won't. I'm just letting you know that we watching. The world is watching, my brother. All right. So 3-on-3, we're here for it. Let's see what happens. We still got Danny Myers and Souffleur Soul. Man, what's there to say? This is one of those. This is one of those matches. You love punchlines, metaphors, layered lyrics, intricate schemes. You know what I'm saying? Good writing, angle punches. A little. If you like all that, you're gonna get it here in this battle. I will say this though. Danny Myers did a live on last Saturday where he was talking about this battle, and in the live he said, unquote, "It's the first time in a while I don't have to try to angle somebody and I can just rap because I don't really have much to say about Souffleur Soul." I'm not saying that you need an angle to win, but my brother, you might not have an angle on him, but best believe he might got an angle on you. That alone, I feel, can give him an advantage as far as being a bit more tailored, a bit more direct, and being able to resonate a personal message that's going to be for Danny as opposed to for Souffleur. Danny is a great puncher, fire, and really good at rebuttaling too. So he has those elements to never really lose too much steam in a round, right? Where he can easily catch up, stay competitive, has enough punchlines and aggression and energy and relentlessness to keep himself afloat. But me knowing that you are coming to just rap, no personals, no angles. I mean, not that there's probably any to really take, right? But so Flair definitely has a lot to say about you, good sir. A lot has happened the last 60 days, Danny. All right? We can still talk about it. It's still to be talked about, good sir. So I do that. And plus, a Flair obviously having debatable with Nitty, beat Chess. He's right in line to obviously compete with Danny Myers or at least have a debatable or if not win. None versus Real Deal. I'm intrigued by this battle. I do have a quote here from None. I want to read it to you guys. See if I can find it. And I want to read this exact quote because I don't want to get this wrong. All right. My man None went on 3 Letterman show. PSA Reloaded, man. Sucking on wifey's toes, man. All right. My man None said, people don't rank me high in categories. I did a 1-rounder with Rum Nitty and I punched with him. I battled Sharon and I out-rebutted them. And Real Deal is one of the best anglers of all time. So the next goal is to see if I can out-angle Real Deal. Now all we need is to get None to battle K-Shine so that we can see if he can outperform K-Shine. You know what I'm saying? I'm just joking. I'm intrigued by that quote because he's right. He's not somebody that we kind of really, besides the rebuttals, there's not much of an attribute that we fully identify None with because he can kind of do he's not a master of none of these, but he has all of them in his disposal to do, right? He can punch, scheme, rebuttal, angle, you know what I'm saying? Get vulnerable, talk real shit, talk about his life, direct to the crowd, give a message to Smack. He can do a little bit of all that. None of it at its highest level, but it's all available to him. So What is the angle exactly that you're going to use for Real Deal to pick him apart when you acknowledge that he is one of the greatest anglers? When you guys think of Real Deal and you call him the greatest angler, what's the this is for the comment section. When you guys say Real Deal is one of the greatest anglers, what's the angle that you think of to identify Real Deal as a top angler? Like, I just want to know, like off the rip of your head, like, what is the performance that you used to say this is why he's one of the best anglers out? I think about a Sharon battle, the title match against Sharon. Boy, high level work. But I want to know what you guys think, so go ahead and drop that below. I'm looking forward to this battle. Some more white on white violence from my man None, and they never hurt. You know what I'm saying? Last year they made all the active white guys battle each other. They made None and Mike P battle. They make Mike P and Sharon battle. They make Sharon and None battle. Let's see what's going on over there. But None was also the most booked battler last year too, so it's good to see him back. I know he took a nice little break. The politics, obviously can wear people down. The sport can get very mentally draining. It's always encouraged to unplug from this matrix for as much time as you need before returning back. Because None, the minute you chose to return, we got Mighty Morphin Rangers and carnivorous fish getting into situations, and you know what I'm saying? It's a lot going on in these streets, man. I don't blame you for taking a break. But back to it, though. We still got one more match. And that is Klutz versus Chilla Jones. Chilla Jones has a quote here about Klutz. Klutz is the best rider of this new class of guys, so I think he's the most appropriate matchup for me right now. It's only right he continues on this path, and I'm going to remind people why I am who I am. My name is my name, and that's that. Hey, former champion of the year Chilla Jones is back on URL against one of the rising prominent pens of the league. Out the gate after the finals exam, gets a clear win against JC. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. What does a clear win against JC and Chilla Jones in your first couple battles on the league mean for Klutz? That's a question I'm gonna leave you guys with. All right. But Born Legacy 13 is going down this week. And let's get some of the announcements that we got to over the last couple days, man. Listen. I made it 38 minutes into the pod without talking about the algorithm ball. We're going to talk about him now. All right. You probably would have thought, oh, he's going to open the show with the algorithm ball. No. You're going to have to earn this. Plus, the show is timestamped, so you could have just went to the section you wanted to go to anyway. But breaking news yesterday, Dizaster announces his matchup against Eazy, the block captain, going down on Battle of the Bay X. Excuse me. On GTX, August 12th and 13th, the 2-day event. Wow. I got a lot of thoughts. Before I go into Dizaster and Eazy, Dizaster got on the Twitter space after the announcement to kind of talk a little bit about the announcement, talk about the card a bit. And he did say in that space that something happened with his original opponent. There were some things going on behind the scenes. He didn't really disclose who it was or what happened. But he did say that him and Eazy was more of a last-minute thing. So that, let's just keep it a buck. All right. When next battle Dizaster, he said, we know you're battling Rum Nitty. Like, we know you got Rum Nitty on the next card. So everybody that put the clues together was just like, all right, it's going to be Nitty and Dizaster. Oh, it made sense, too, by the way. Nitty started on Grind Time. I think we forget that. Yes, let me repeat that for you guys out there in the back. Nitty started on Grind Time. You can go to Rum Nitty and Grind Time on YouTube and find battles. In fact, do something. There's a battle out where his name is not even Rum Nitty. It's just Nitty. All right? These battles are 11 plus years old. You click on them and it says Nitty versus his opponent. Nitty versus Type Z, Nitty versus Kid White, whatever the Grind Time battle was at the time. He didn't even have the word rum next to his name, bro. All right. So you can find some Rum Nitty grind time work. It only would have made sense to have seen Rum Nitty be on GTX just because that is part of his roots. But Eazy the Black Captain has some grind time roots himself. I don't know if you guys have ever gotten a chance to watch any of his work back in 2013, but the Bull used to be a little backpack rapping, multi-syllabic nerd joke, dick jokes, fat jokes, da 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 da. Like he had some of that Jean Short Nation energy. Let me play this clip.
Like your girl got no balls, and you can't feel it. Your dick little with no balls, and she out of line. She come outside with no drawers. When she give top, that shit on demand, no pause. Me taking A-loss, I chop your head, nigga, be gone. Street sweeper like a seesaw, injected with the heat offense and knock your D off.
Yo, sometimes you just gotta go into the crates and just watch some old amateur footage of guys to, one, realize how long they've been here, two, appreciate the journey, and three, get some of the laughs off about how their style used to be. The man had a real, he liked that type of battle rap. He's a battle rap nerd. Don't let none of this fool you. At the end of the day, Eazy Black Captain's a battle rap nerd. So he loved the grind time era. He loved that style. He always has the multis in his back pocket. He had a bunch of jokes back in the days too. So I think he'll fit right in over in GTX. Him battling Dizaster is right on the trajectory of what he's trying to do, right? Like when you go to Verse Tracker and you look at some of the highest viewed guys, like a Hitman, a Dizaster, K Shine, you know what I'm saying? He's battled those guys. And then you keep going to like a little bit lower, like after the top 10, a Verb, he's battled a Verb. A Rex, he's battled the Rex. A Chess, he's battled the Chess. A Goods, he's battled the Goods. Calico, T-Top. Like, these are all guys that are ranked in the top 20 highest viewed all time. He's battled those guys. So, this is just on course with him battling legends, top tiers, golden names, some Mount Rushmore names. This is nothing different than what he would be doing. I just, Dizaster wasn't in the scope. We never talked really much about Dizaster and Eazy. I know, Eazy's entertained like, yo, Shoddy, come to King of the Dot. Like he's talked about that, or he had a whole list of names. Like, I could battle Geechee, I could rematch Twerk, I could battle Rock. If Surf ever comes home, I could battle A-War, I could battle Ill Will, I could battle Big K. He had a whole list of names, but in that long list, Dizaster was never one of them. But when you look at the profile of people he's been battling, it just makes sense, right? It makes sense. So, well, not that it makes sense, but it's in line with the caliber of opponents he's been battling lately. Now, I've been seeing on Twitter. I can't confirm or deny this. I've just been seeing it on Twitter. People are like, "Is this 3 rounds?" People are like, "Is this 3 rounds?" I've been seeing those questions pop up on Twitter. I don't know why people will question it. I don't even know. I'm confused as to that. My question would be, what's the time limits? My question wouldn't be the round. My question would be, what's the time limits to this? Because if a lot of the guys have said my battle's 90 seconds to 2 minutes, I haven't seen Dizaster rap a 90-second 2-minute round in over a decade, probably. You know what I'm saying? So, what's the time limits? That's more of my question that I have interest in having an answer to. But on a calculated scale for Eazy, okay, we know about what's going on with him and, what I'm saying, his altercation allegations. Whether you think it's true or not, let me tell you something. Whether you think it's true or not, shouts to the E-Hive. I call them the blockheads, his fan base. They denying everything. The culture's like, this don't look right. This don't smell right. This look funny. It's got a little funky energy around it. I don't care where you stand. The point that I want to deliver to you is that this is an angle regardless. That's it. This is in the clouds. It's in the clouds. It's officially content that can be used against you in a battle, whether factual or not, and it's going to resonate with the crowd, okay? We didn't have footage of Mook and Math. We didn't have footage of John and Hollow. We didn't have footage of Brooklyn Hands and Verb. There's a lot of altercations that there's no footage of, but enough murmurs existed about it between the battle rappers, people involved, people in the area, vicinity, the rumors, and that's it. It lives in infamy, and it can become a battle bar. So whether whatever happened did or didn't happen, you're gonna hear bars about it. You was gonna hear bars about it. Can't avoid it. But this is important to note because obviously there's heavy speculation that Geechee may be his next match. He called Geechee out after battling Reed Dollaz. Like, after this and that, I'm gonna go battle a Crip. And Chrome 23 said Remy said Chrome 23 was gonna have an event in August. I don't know if it's gonna be in August. I don't know if it's gonna be later. I don't know when. You know what I'm saying? I don't know when Eazy and Geechee will happen. I'm pretty sure will happen this year. The point I'm getting at is if Geechee was in line to be his next opponent, and now that he has Dizaster before a possible Geechee, maybe a possible Mook, whoever would be his next opponent, obviously now that whether it's Geechee, Mook, whatever it is, they have an angle to use. They have an angle available. And by battling somebody before battling those names, you get the opportunity to say, all right, he can defuse the angle for my future opponents because we were already going to get some bars out, so that it softens the blow. It gives me an opportunity to see how the angle is constructed up against me. So now I know how to counter right for it for the next motherfucker that wants to use it. It's a solid strategy there. It's a solid strategy. And Dizaster's not the one to really probably bring that angle home. He also has some people in Brooklyn that probably don't want him around. But I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna stop there. The point is Eazy Dizaster blockbuster announcement, big battle. I can't wait for it to go down on GTX. GTX is a stack card. Stack card. We're talking 20 battles for the weekend. And I think there's a card on Friday, so you might even have maybe 25, 26, maybe 30 battles this weekend. It's going to be a crazy weekend. Plus, Philly's deep. You got Reed Dollaz and Pass. We didn't get a chance to talk about that recently. That happened too. There was an announcement for Reed and Pass. We're going to break down this whole GTX card with a long GTX podcast because all those battles need some spotlight. K Walker's on the card. So Philly, the trenches is going to Oakland. Pack your bags. I'm going back to Cali. It's happening. All right. Can Dizaster be the one to do it? Will Dizaster do it? Listen, man. Much respect to Diz, the creative director. I haven't had him winning a battle in a while. Let me pull this up. Let me pull up his battles as of recently so we could just get this in line, all right? All right. He battled Next this year. I had Next beating Dizaster. A battle that you guys tried to sweep under the rug. I seen what happened there. I'm gonna leave it alone. All right. We battled Marv 1 again this year. That was a dope battle. Battle Howland on King of the Dot, the Pat State card. All those battles were for a bigger message than be competitive. Had him losing to Geechee, had him losing to Assassino, had him losing to Saint, but he definitely won those battles along the way in the Grand Prix when he battled Frack, Thesaurus, Boy, aka Family Man Hayes. So it's been a while since I've seen him be really, really competitive, and I've also heard him say a few times, like, prior to this Eazy announcement, he was saying, like, my match, like, is a big match, but I don't really care about the match. I care more about, like, the card. Obviously, like, his purpose is to curate the space, the event, and he much rather see everybody else shine as opposed to himself. So I think he's just in a different space in battle rap where, like, it's not about so much as about winning, but I do desire to see Dizaster say, yo, let me put my competitive gear on and try to be the first person to give Eazy a clear loss in his run. I desire that. You know what I'm saying? I do. But would he be the one to do it? I say no. I say no, man. My answer is no. Looking forward to it regardless. All right. And before we close out, let's talk about John the Don made an announcement. The Mecca going down July 30th, we're definitely going to have a full podcast breaking this card down. Headlining battle on this card, John the Don versus Jay Mills, Cortez versus Philly Hayes, E. Hart versus Cashflow Rizzy, Bonnie Godiva versus Lady Caution is obviously the main card. We also have two undercard battles. CNG Ty versus Kuwan the Rebel. Not familiar with those brothers. Taj Millie versus Wavington. I do know Wavington. So shouts to the undercard as well. There's a dope little event going down. I won't say little, but dope event going down July 30th on BullPen the Mecca. BullPen's outside this year, man. This is in Yonkers too, man. John gonna have the peoples out for him, man. He gonna have the people outside. Personally, for me, Lady Caution and Bonnie Godiva is a battle I'm looking forward to the most on this card. That's the one. Bonnie's return battle since, pregnancy. Lady Caution has been consistent. It's a good match. E Hart and Yonkers, that's something worth talking about too, man. You know what I'm saying? But shout outs to John and BullPen. I'm looking forward to the Mecca. Should be dope. And I think that's all she wrote for this week, man. We do have some more stuff. You can go ahead and go to the website, check out our power rankings that we created. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to talk a little bit about the power rankings before I get out of here. I do want to say this. There's no such thing as a list that will ever appease the people, all right? I don't even think there's a list that if the battlers combine their might and their wills and their brains together to create a list, I don't even think that would be perfect. I do desire to see the battlers create a list, though. I do desire to see them create a standard and test that logic against multiple people's catalogs for the year and their production to see if they are consistently able to hold up whatever thing they say about themselves and how it should be evaluated. Because, when we made our power rankings, we try to obviously contextualize it with numbers and, in an opinionated sport with data that doesn't exist, you can't just put battle rap in a box score. As much as I love the idea of doing that, I can't. You know what I'm saying? You ultimately can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So you have to take it with a grain of salt. It's just a system to see if it can match the eye test. Try to define what are you watching, because I do feel like there is a way to define the level of performance that I'm gauging. There is a way to define the level of competitor that you're facing stature-wise and the performance that you actually stood in front of. I do think there's a way to measure impact. All of these details that kind of we implemented in our power rankings, which was competition, your performance and material, and impact. I feel like there's a way to gauge it, or at least there's a way to get a feel for it. We try to get a nice solid definition between our system. We rated everything between 1 to 5. We gave a definition to everything that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Was it perfect? No. Was it inconsistent? I mean, yeah. I mean, there's moments where you can look at it and you're like, I don't agree with certain things. Obviously, the whole team came together. J Smo, Q Moody, Titus, myself. When you put that many minds into a project, everybody's not going to agree. So we're just going to have a consensus amongst ourselves. So, you're going to have some flaws in it. But I do feel like once you build a foundation, you have something to work around. A lot of the battlers were challenging it. And, while I feel like some of their challenges were valid, it's just whatever method you hold the critiques to, you have to keep that same method across the board. And, there's a space out there for you. I think it's on Hip Hop is Real and all the YouTube pages that record Twitter spaces, or you go to Swamp's recorded space on his Twitter as well if you want to go ahead and hear that 2-hour conversation with me, Chef Trez, E Hart, T-Top, Tay-Rock, Jakkboy Maine, Shayna Ashley, Hansel, Geechee Gotti, a lot of people, a lot of battlers. They kind of evaluate stature versus talent. And I hear them because we should be looking at skill for sure. And we don't dismiss skill, but we also understand that sometimes when we talk about strength of schedule, there's a discrepancy because some people will battle a name that's not producing at the level or at a high level anymore, but because it's a name, it's still going to matter. You know what I'm saying? And so it's okay, what about the people that don't have a high name but do produce at a high level and that are very competitive? They don't get much praise neither. So where's the balance there? And then some of the battles were well, you need to evaluate the skill, not the stature, which in my opinion, it's easier for us as media to be objective about somebody's stature than their skill, because skill is super subjective. What you think is good and what I think is good, it's not going to be the same, because you're going to look at certain details that I can't look at, and I'm going to tell you how those details make me feel. And at that point, we're just at a difference of opinions, right? But I feel like with stature regardless of somebody's talent, we can't deny who they are or who they currently are. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I feel like it's easier to be objective about stature. Murder Mook was a great example. You know, all the battle rappers there were telling me Clean is harder to beat than Murder Mook. Battle rapper said this. They told me Clone is more skilled and talented than Murder Mook. I don't agree with none of this. I don't agree with any of it. You know what I'm saying? I don't agree with none of it. And if you really feel that way, that's fine. But the point is, regardless if you think Mook is talented or not, good or not, you can't deny that he's Murder Mook. And that's what I was getting at. It's like, yo, this is easier to, we can both agree on who he is versus what we think his production level is. We're going to feel different about his production, but we're both going to agree to who he is as a name. And so going into a battle, you don't know what the results will be. So you have to take the name for face value at first. You have to. That's why I said so many times people will predict somebody to win a battle, and then when they're wrong, they just kind of try to sweep it under the rug afterwards because they didn't like the results. But it's like, that's not how you felt going into it. Example, Vixen versus AWAR. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to bring up my client, but I seen how y'all was talking about Vixen and AWAR going into the battle. Yeah, some of y'all ain't keep that same energy afterwards. Some of y'all did not keep that same energy afterwards. And, you know, I've seen people also change things up, like Miss Hustle versus My Verse. You know, that was a battle going into it. Nope, I couldn't find somebody to give My Verse a compliment, even if I paid them. And then after Hustle beat My Verse, it's like all of a sudden it holds all this stock and value, and it matters. And people calling My Verse a top tier. And it's like, wait, y'all didn't even think she was good prior to this battle. So which one is it? It just gets it gets very, very confusing. And that's where I just want us to say, listen, I think there's a standard to pick with nuances to apply, but pick a standard and then keep that same standard. And I promise you, your logic will be tested at some point. You know, Chef Trez and Hansel were kind of telling me about like, oh, you know, you got to evaluate the performance of the person in front of you, you know, or what's their skill like. I got a ton of respect for John the Don, but he's been on a losing streak. He hasn't been performing at John the Don's level as of recently. So if we want to go that route, the John you battle has been on a decline. Hansel, you know, some of your wins on the league are against, you know, like are against people that kind of have messed up in their material. Steam's choked every round. Holmesy, you know, had a little bit of a hiccup in this third round. So like, which one do you guys want? Do you guys want credit for the name? Do you guys want us to evaluate the performance that you're up against? Do you guys want us to just evaluate your performance? Pick a standard. I promise your logic will be tested. That's all I'm going to say. You know what I'm saying? They also told me visibility doesn't necessarily mean impact. So just because an event is on the pay-per-view doesn't mean it has more impact than an app event. And that's respect to the app events and respect to all VOD events. That's just horseshit. It's not true. Y'all wrong. Y'all wrong. Okay. We pay attention to I don't mean to sound egotistical when I say this, right? I'm just telling you something that I do daily. I work the social medias of LTBR Daily alongside other people that work LTBR with us, right? I'm paying attention to Twitter, to YouTube, to app comments, to Instagram comments, to traffic, likes, numbers, traction, views, impressions. Everything is hashtags, so we're able to follow the hashtag trends. I have charts. I have detailed analytics from all these news posts. Like I can easily create a chart for you guys of news posts, the artists related to the news posts, and which news post garners the most traffic. All right. You cannot tell me that something that's garnering more traffic does not have more impact just because it's more visible. I do agree there could be things that's not as visible that's better. I could agree with that, but that doesn't mean it had more impact. It doesn't mean that it was seen more. It doesn't mean it was talked about more. And that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, there's plenty of times battles fall by the wayside that are better than battles that are showcased to us. That happens all the time. But sometimes what's showcased to us is automatically in our face more to be talked about and recognized and remembered more than what isn't. So, you know, there's just some inconsistencies there. They also, you know, Chef Trez, like me and John, I get stopped about that battle in Atlanta all the time. It meant more to Atlanta than my show-off battle. That's fine. But then you guys turn around and say Eazy and Reed wasn't even that important for Philly. Well, which one is it, guys? You cannot pick a moment where regional impact matters and it doesn't matter somewhere else. Like that's all I'm saying, man. Respect to the battlers. I think their perspective is needed at times, but it's also jaded because they also view things in a certain light. They will never view things in the light of a consumer because they're the artist. They will never be able to view things from the media standpoint because they're an artist. So they have a blind spot available to them that we can see. And we have a blind spot available to us that you guys can see. So I'm not saying our perspective is more valuable than yours perspective. I'm saying it's different, and it also has a voice that needs to be heard, because at the end of the day, there's far more consumers than there is rappers. All right, that's it for me today, man. As always, man, I appreciate you guys rocking with us. Let's talk battlerap.com. We're going to sign out for the day. You know what I'm saying? We're going to close out on my man B-Dot. Shouts to B-Dot, man. We need to be back in the game. Right there, right?
I know if I heal you, I'm killing myself. But I'm still into killing myself. This poison ain't helping my health. I hop in the whip with that ill intent. I ain't straight, I won't ask to be let out. Just let out this barrel that leave these niggas with no brains like a scarecrow. Yo, who we looking for?
Two niggas in an all-white Camaro. The homie said they know where they be at.
Give me the burner, I need that. Y'all niggas relax, point me to where the squeeze at.
You sure, blood?
Yeah, I'm sure, blood, that's what the war does. And as I say that, I think in my mind about how they forced us through gentrification to shoot at the same situation. Be just like me, no father, so single mama had raised him. His papa was vacant. Mama couldn't replace him. He wanted the Jordans, not the Asics, so he decided to bang crib. I was dazing. It's not out of it, fuck it. I won't back out of it.
Blood, did them niggas go right there?
That is not the whip. You said an all-white Camaro.
Well, this is white as a kid. Give me the burner back if your ass is gonna act like a bitch.
I ain't no bitch, blood. Just pull up on these motherfuckers slow. These niggas need to see my face. I'm trying to let these niggas know. Got out the window as I had that extendo. Like what's happening at that moment I froze. That's when them thoughts got to flashing like recollection. I recognized him. I wanted to ask him if he knew me. Perhaps it was some type of distant attachment. He looked just like me, so frightening. The resemblance was striking. But I snapped out of it. Demon screamed just like Nike.
Get up. Go. Get up out of here, nigga. Pull on.
I know if I kill you, I'm killing myself. But I'm still into killing myself. This poison ain't helping my health.